Admiral June stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, watching distant stars through the massive view screen. His weathered hands gripped the railing as he studied the tactical display. 37 battles, 37 victories, 0 defeats. That was the record of the Terran fleet, and every alien species in the galaxy knew it. "Sir, we're receiving another transmission," Commander Na reported from her station. Her voice carried the same calm tone she used weather reporting routine. "Scans or incoming enemy fire. The Altarian delegation is requesting we change course. They don't want us passing through their space." Jun almost smiled. Almost. The Altarians were a peaceful trading species, but even they feared the sight of human warships. His fleet of 12 vessels moved through space like black shadows, their dark hulls absorbing light instead of reflecting. Each ship bore the scars of countless battles, and their weapon systems could turn a planet to glass. Lieutenant Wu looked up from his communications console. "Admiral, they're offering to pay us tribute if we take the long route around." "Their territory." "Tribute," Jun repeated quietly. The word left a bitter taste in his mouth. He turned to face his bridge crew, these men and women who had followed him through hell itself. Each one was from Earth, that nightmare world where everything tried to kill you from the moment you were born. They had survived poisonous air, crushing gravity, deadly storms, and predators that would make other species faint with terror. "Tell the Altarians we're not pirates," Jun said. "We don't take tribute from anyone." The bridge fell silent, except for the steady hum of the ship's engines. Through the view screen, Jun could see the other ships in his fleet. The Blood Moon, commanded by Captain Gill. The Stormbreaker, under Captain Bin. The Night Fury, led by Captain Lee. Each vessel carried a crew of warriors who had earned their reputation the hard way. "Commander." Na pulled up the fleet's service record on her screen. "Sir, intelligence reports that 3 more species have added us to their extreme threat list. The Corillans are calling us the Deathbringers now." Jen walked closer to the view screen, his reflection ghost-like against the stars. Their species saw humans as monsters. They whispered stories about the death world called Earth, where gravity could crush bones and the weather could boil oceans. They spoke of human soldiers who never retreated, never surrendered, never showed mercy to their enemies. What they didn't understand was why humans fought so hard. It wasn't cruelty or bloodlust. Jun had seen too many good people die to care about glory or conquest. Every battle his fleet won meant fewer threats to the innocent. Every enemy they destroyed was one less predator stalking peaceful worlds. "Maintain course," he ordered. "Standard patrol route." The Iron Will continued through space, followed by its sister ships. Behind them, the Altarian delegation breathed sighs of relief. Ahead of them, pirates and raiders checked their sensors nervously, hoping the human fleet would pass them by. In the galaxy's dark corners, evil things prepared to hide. The alarm pierced through the quiet bridge of the Asterisk Iron. Will asterisk like a knife. Admiral Jun spun around as Lieutenant Wu's hands flew across his console, his face pale in the green glow of the emergency transmission. "Admiral, we're receiving a distress signal," Wu called out, his voice tight with urgency. "It's bad, sir." The main view screen flickered to life, showing a terrified Relarian captain. The alien's blue skin was streaked with what looked like blood, and explosions flashed behind him. His 4 eyes darted frantically as he spoke in broken galactic standard. "This is Captain Vox of the colony vessel New Dawn. We are under attack by Vecthan raiders. Pete, we are under attack. 40,000 civilians aboard, including 8,000 younglings. Our shields are failing. Our weapons are gone. Please, anyone who receives this message, we need immediate." The transmission cut to static. Commander Na was already pulling up star charts, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. "Sir, I'm tracking the signal source. They're in the Kepler drift, Sector 7, 7 Alpha." Captain Mee stepped forward from the navigation station, his weathered face grim. "Admiral, at maximum burn, we're looking at 72 hours to reach their position. Maybe 70 if we push the engines past safety limits." Jun stared at the empty view screen where the Relarian's desperate face had been moments before. 40,000 civilians. 8,000 children. The numbers burned in his mind like acid. Had seen what Vecthan pirates did to their prisoners. The galaxy's most vicious slavers didn't take captives for ransom. They took them for worse things. "What's the standard galactic response protocol?" he asked quietly. Lieutenant Wu checked his database. "Galactic Defense Force allows 72 hours for military response to civilian distress calls, sir.
Oh.
But the nearest GDF patrol is 4 days out from that sector." 4 days, Jun repeated, his voice flat. He turned to face his bridge crew, seeing his own thoughts reflected in their faces. 4 days meant there would be no one left to save. Commander Na pulled up tactical data on her screen. "Sir, intelligence shows Vecthan raider fleets typically strip a colony ship within 18 hours. After that, they scatter the survivors across different slave markets." The bridge fell silent except for the steady beep of monitoring systems. Through the view screen, stars continued their ancient dance, different to the suffering happening in their light. Captain Mi stepped closer to June. "Admiral, there might be another option. It's dangerous, but... Speak freely, Captain." "Death jump, sir. Forbidden hyperspace technique. Could cut our travel time to 16 hours, maybe less." Mi's voice dropped. "But the engine stress could tear our ships apart. Fleet Command banned it after the Proxima incident." Jun looked around. His bridge one more time. These were warriors from Earth, the death world that had forged them in fire and pain. They had signed up to protect the innocent, not to follow safe procedures while children died. "Prep the fleet for emergency jump," he ordered. The bridge erupted into motion. The emergency klaxon echoed through every corridor of the Iron Will as Admiral Chen's order spread across the fleet. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Tay nearly dropped his diagnostic tablet when the command came through his comm system. "Death jump. He's lost his mind," Tay muttered, then immediately regretted his words. But the other engineers around him nodded grimly. They all knew what a death jump meant. Within minutes, Tay was storming onto the bridge, his face red with anger and fear. "Admiral, with all due respect, this is suicide. The hyperspace engines weren't designed for this kind of stress." Jun turned from the tactical display, his expression carved from stone. "How many ships will we lose?" "Sir, that's not the point. How many ships, engineer?" Tay's shoulders sagged. He pulled up the technical specifications on his portable screen, his hands shaking slightly. "Best case scenario, maybe we lose 1 or 2 vessels to engine failure. Worst case, the entire fleet gets torn apart when we exit hyperspace." Commander Na looked up from her station. "Sir, I've run the calculations 3 times. The gravitational stress alone could crack our hull plating. And if the hyperspace field collapses while we're in transit," she didn't need to finish. Everyone on the bridge knew what happened when ships got trapped between dimensions. The lucky crews died instantly. The others spent eternity screaming. In the void, Captain Mi stepped forward. "Admiral, maybe we should consider alternatives. We could contact other fleets in the area, coordinate a joint response." "There's no time, Jen. Cut him off." His voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of absolute authority. "Those Relarian children don't have time for us to play it safe, Lieutenant." Wu turned from his console. "Sir, the other ship captains are requesting confirmation. Captain Gill on the Blood Moon wants to know if this is really happening." June activated the fleet-wide communication system. His voice filled every bridge, every engine room, every crew quarters across 12 ships. "This is Admiral Jun. We have 40,000 civilians under attack by Vecthan raiders. Standard protocol. Says we arrive in 3 days. Those people will be dead or worse by then." He paused, letting his words sink in. "I'm ordering a death jump. I won't lie to you about the risks. Some of us might not make it, but we don't abandon innocence. We never abandon innocence." Engineer Tay closed his eyes. "Admiral, the engine modifications alone will take..." "How long?" Jen interrupted. 20 minutes if we skip safety checks. Do it." Across the fleet, engineering teams raced against time. They rerouted power systems, reinforced hyperspace field generators, and prepared their ships for stresses that could tear metal like paper. The medical bays, doctors prepared for casualties. In the crew quarters, soldiers wrote final messages to families they might never see again. Jun stood at the center of it all, watching his people prepare to risk everything for strangers they had never met. This was what it meant to be human. This was why the galaxy feared them, and why the innocent trusted them. Fleet status report, he called out. The impossible was about to begin. The moment Admiral Jun gave the final command. 12 human warships vanished from normal space in a blaze of twisted light. Inside the Iron Will, the crew felt reality bend around them as they plunged into the nightmare realm between dimensions. The ship's hull groaned like a living thing in pain. Warning lights flashed red across every console as the hyperspace. Engines pushed far beyond their design limits. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Tay watched his displays with growing horror as temperatures climbed into the danger zone. Engine pressure at 140% of maximum, shouted Engineer KO over the screaming machinery. Hull stress is approaching critical levels. But it was on the Stormbreaker where disaster struck first. Captain Bin's voice crackled through the fleet communication system, barely audible over the sound of explosions. Mayday, Mayday. Engine 3 is going critical. We're losing main power. Chief Ho didn't wait for orders. The veteran engineer grabbed his repair kit and sprinted through corridors that shook like earthquake zones. Behind him, his team of specialists followed, their faces grim with determination. They had trained for impossible situations, but this was beyond anything. In their manuals, "Patch me through to the Stormbreaker," Ho yelled into his comm unit as he ran. "Captain Bin, we're coming to help." "Negative, Chief. The engine compartment is flooded with radiation. It's a death trap." Ho skidded to a halt at the emergency. "Transport pad. Captain, with respect, we didn't come this far to lose a ship now." The transport beam grabbed Ho and his team, pulling them through hyperspace itself to the dying vessel. They materialized in a corridor filled with smoke and sparks, where the very air seemed to burn. The Stormbreaker was tearing itself apart. From the inside, Engineer Pack was already suiting up in heavy radiation gear. "Chief, the containment field is collapsing. If we don't stabilize it in the next 10 minutes, the whole ship goes up." Ho looked at the readings on his scanner. The radiation levels would kill them in minutes, even with protection. But 40,000 Relarian civilians were counting on them. Then we work fast. They crawled through burning corridors and crawled into spaces never meant for human bodies. Ho's hands flew over control panels while his team rerouted power systems by feel alone. When their radiation detectors started screaming warnings, they ignored them. When the heat became so intense their suits started to melt, they kept working. "Field stabilizing," Pack reported, his voice weak from radiation sickness. Engine pressure dropping to safe levels. Similar scenes played out across the fleet. On the Night Fury, Engineer Dam held a cracked hyperspace generator together with his bare hands until emergency repairs could be completed. On the Blood Moon, Tech Specialist Rim crawled through a collapsing maintenance shaft to restore navigation systems. 16 hours after they began the impossible journey, 12 battered human ships dropped out of hyperspace near the Relarian colony vessel. They had traveled a distance that should have taken 3 days. Every ship's computer showed the same impossible reading. They had just broken every speed record in galactic history. The Vectan pirate fleet hung in space like vultures. Around Carrion, 23 attack ships surrounded the burning Relarian colony vessel New Dawn, their weapon ports glowing with deadly energy. Raider Captain Zek watched his prize through the view screen, counting the credits he would make from 40,000. "Slaves, Captain. We're detecting hyperspace signatures," his weapons officer reported. 12 ships dropping out of jump space. Barely glanced at the tactical display. Probably some merchant convoy running scared. Ignore them and focus on cutting through the colony ship's hull. But when the human fleet materialized, Zek's confident smile vanished. The black-hulled warships of the Terran fleet emerged from hyperspace like nightmares given form. Even damaged from their impossible journey, they radiated menace. "Those are human ships," his officer whispered, fear creeping into his voice. Zek snarled, "So what? Look at them. Half their hull plating. is cracked. Their engine signatures are unstable. They're falling apart. He opened a channel to his fleet. All ships, easy targets. Finish them quickly and get back to the real prize. Admiral June stood on the bridge of the Iron Will watching the pirate formation. Any normal fleet would. Engage the raiders directly, trading shots until one side retreated or died. But Jun had learned long ago that normal tactics got innocent people killed. Commander Na, execute formation shield wall, he ordered quietly. Na's fingers flew across her tactical console, sending precise coordinates to every ship in the fleet. All vessels moved to protective positions. We're going to do this the hard way. The Vecthan pirates watched in confusion as the human ships did something impossible. Instead of forming an attack line, the Terran vessels positioned themselves between the raiders and the colony ship. The Iron Will and Blood Moon took point their massive hulls blocking the pirates' line of fire to the defenseless civilians. What are they doing? Zek demanded. They're making themselves sitting targets. But Admiral June wasn't finished. All ships prepare for synchronized assault. We shield and strike simultaneously. Captain Gill's voice crackled over the come from the Blood Moon. Sir, we'll be taking fire from 3 directions. Our shields won't hold. They don't need to hold forever, Jen replied. It's just long enough. The battle began like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. The human ships absorbed devastating pirate fire on their forward shields, while their rear weapon arrays hammered the enemy with precise strikes. Commander Na coordinated the impossible dance, calling out targets and shield rotations with split-second timing. Stormbreaker, rotate shields. Night Fury, cover their 6. Na commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Explosions lit up space as pirate ships found themselves caught between the anvil of human shields and the hammer of human guns. The Vecthan fleet had expected an easy slaughter. Instead, they faced an enemy willing to take damage to protect others. Their formations crumbled as human tactics turned their numerical advantage into a death trap. Zek stared at his tactical display in disbelief. They're using their own ships. As shields, who does that? The answer was simple. Humans did. Across the galaxy, communication networks buzzed with impossible reports. Emergency broadcasts from the Kepler drift told a story that defied everything civilized species thought they knew about humans. On the bridge of the Iron Will, Admiral Jun coordinated 2 operations that should have been impossible to run together. Commander Na maintained defensive fire. Lieutenant Wu, how many civilians have we evacuated? Sir, transport teams have brought aboard 800 wounded so far, Wu reported, ducking as another explosion rocked the ship. Medical bays are at capacity, but Dr. Yu says she can handle more. In the medical wing of the Blood Moon, Dr. Yu worked with hands that moved like lightning. Before her lay a young Relarian child, no more than 5 years old in human terms. The little alien's blue skin had turned pale from blood loss, and his 4 eyes stared up at her with trust that broke her heart. Nurse calm, I need another unit. Of synthetic plasma, Yu called out, never taking her eyes off her patient. Around her, the medical bay had become a scene of controlled chaos. Human medics treated alien injuries they had only read about in textbooks, while wounded Relarians watched in amazement. The child's mother, a female Relarian named Vel, clutched Yu's arm. Doctor, will my son live? Yu looked down at the terrified mother. In the background, she could hear the ship's weapons firing at the pirates who had done this. He'll live. I promise you that. 3 decks below, Medic was doing something that would become legend. He had discovered that human blood, with minor modifications, could keep injured Relarians alive until proper treatment arrived. Without hesitation, he had opened his own veins. Sir, you've already donated twice, Nurse Park protested, as Key prepared for a 3rd donation. You need to rest. Key looked through the medical bay window at the transport shuttles, bringing more wounded. There are children out there, Park. They need this more than I do. The scene repeated across the human fleet. Engineer Shin converted cargo holds into temporary hospitals. Cookley shared human food rations with starving Relarian families. Captain Ben personally carried wounded aliens to safety while his ships, guns blazed above, But it was the galaxy's reaction that truly showed how unprecedented this was. In the Altarian capital, government officials watched the live feeds in stunned silence. The ruthless human fleet was sharing their own medical supplies, their own blood, their own food with complete strangers. They're fighting a battle and running a rescue operation at the same time, whispered Ambassador Kor. How is this possible? On the distant world of Zentari Prime, Military Commander Rex studied the tactical displays with growing amazement. Their ships are taking heavy damage to protect the colony vessel. They're using their own hulls as shields while treating enemy wounded. The most powerful moment came when a damaged Vecthan pirate ship lost life support. Instead of letting their enemies die, the humans rescued them too. Dr. Yu treated pirate wounds with the same care she gave to Relarian children. The galaxy watched and learned something new about the species from the death world called Earth. They weren't ruthless in their cruelty, they were ruthless in their mercy. The tactical display on the iron wheels suddenly exploded with new contacts. Admiral June felt his blood turn to ice as he watched hyperspace signatures bloom across the screen like deadly flowers. Not one or two ships, but dozens of them. Sir, multiple fleets dropping out of hyperspace, Lieutenant Wu reported, his voice tight with controlled fear. I count 67 Vecthan vessels, 5 full battle groups. Commander Naz's hands flew across her console, pulling up formation data. Admiral, they've got us surrounded. Each of their fleets is larger than our entire squadron. Jun stared at the display showing the impossible odds. 12 damaged human ships against 67 fresh pirate vessels. Any sane commander would order an immediate retreat. But Jun looked through the view screen at the Relarian colony ship New Dawn, where 40,000 civilians waited for salvation. All ships, form defensive sphere around the colony vessel, he ordered. Maximum protective formation. Captain. So's voice crackled through the cum from the Stormbreaker. Admiral, with respect, we can't hold this position. They'll tear us apart. Then we buy time, Jun replied simply. Every minute we hold means more civilians evacuated. The Vecthan Reinforcement Commander, Admiral Vex, broadcast on all frequencies. His reptilian face filled the communication screens, scales glistening with anticipation. Human fleet, you are outnumbered 5-1. Surrender now, and we will allow you to retreat with your lives. Jun activated the return channel. Vecthan fleet, you have attacked innocent civilians. We don't negotiate with pirates. Vex's laugh was like grinding metal. Then you will die for strangers. How pathetic. The second battle began with a storm of energy fire that lit up space like an artificial sun, the human ships already damaged. From their impossible journey in the first engagement, took devastating hits. But they held their positions, forming an unbreakable wall between the pirates and the defenseless colony ship captain. So watched his ship's shields fail under concentrated fire from 6 enemy vessels. Lieutenant Han, take your squadron and punch through their left flank. Draw some fire away from the civilians. Han's voice was steady despite the chaos around them. Sir, that's a suicide run. We'll never make it back. I know, So replied quietly. Do it anyway. The Night Fury and 3 escort ships broke formation, charging directly into the heart of the Vecthan fleet. Their weapons blazed as they carved through enemy formations, drawing fire away from the colony ship. One by one, the human vessels died in balls of flame, taking multiple pirate ships with them. On the Iron Will, damage reports flooded in. The Blood Moon lost main power. The Starhammer was venting atmosphere. The Stormbreaker was down. 2 emergency systems only. Sir, we've lost 6 ships, Commander Na reported, tears streaming down her face. Half our fleet is gone. Jun gripped the railing as another explosion rocked his ship. Through the smoke and sparks, he could see transport shuttles still moving between the human vessels and the colony ship, carrying wounded civilians to safety. Half his people were dead, but the evacuation continued. This was what it meant to be human. The news traveled faster than light itself, spreading through galactic communication networks like wildfire. In every corner of civilized space, alien species gathered around their communication devices to hear impossible stories from the survivors of the Kepler Drift battle. On the Altarian homeworld, Captain Vox of the New Dawn stood before the Galactic Council, his blue skin still bearing scars from the pirate attack. His 4 eyes swept across the assembled delegates as he spoke words that would change history. "The humans came when no one else could," Vox said, his voice breaking. "With emotion, they traveled through death itself to reach us. And when they arrived, they didn't just fight for us, they died for us." In the medical centers across Relarian space, survivors shared their stories with growing amazement. Nurse Kell, who had been trapped in the colony ship's damaged medical bay, described how human engineer Da had crawled through burning corridors. To reach her section, the Relarian life support was failing, she explained to the medical staff gathered around her. Children were suffocating. Da could have fixed his own ship's engines first, saved his own crew, but he came to us instead. Recording of DA's final moments had been captured by the colony ship's security cameras. It showed the human engineer working frantically on alien life support systems, while his own vessel, the Stormbreaker, lost power in the background. His hands moved with desperate precision as he rerouted power conduits he had never been trained. "To repair, Da? Get back to your ship." Captain Saul's voice had crackled through his comm unit. "We need those engines fixed now." DA's response became the most quoted words in galactic history. "The children come first, Captain. Always the children first." He had died when a power conduit exploded in his face, but not before restoring life support to 3,000 Relarian civilians. His body was found still clutching alien repair manuals. He'd been studying to save lives that weren't even his own species. The story spread to every world. Every species, every corner of the galaxy. On Zentari Prime, military commanders studied the battle recordings with growing disbelief. The humans had positioned their ships to take maximum damage while protecting others. They had shared their medical supplies, their food, their blood with complete strangers. "They call them the Death Fleet," Admiral Kex told his staff during an emergency briefing. "But look at these recordings. They're dying to protect people they've never met." The most powerful testimony came from a young Relarian girl named May. Barely 6 years old, she had been treated by Dr. Yu on the human medical ship, and her simple words moved entire civilizations. "The human lady gave me her blood so I wouldn't die," May said during a planet-wide broadcast. She said all children are precious, even alien ones, she cried, when she thought I couldn't see. Across the galaxy, the perception of humanity shifted forever. They weren't the ruthless killers that other species had feared. There was something far more dangerous to evil. They were protectors who would sacrifice everything for innocence. 6. Months after the Battle of Kepler Drift, the Galactic Council chambers buzzed with unprecedented activity. Representatives from every major species had gathered for an event that had never happened before in galactic history. They were officially renaming a military fleet while its commander wasn't even present. The motion passes unanimously, announced Speaker Cole, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. "The Terran Death Fleet shall henceforth be known in all official records as the Guardian Squadron." The applause was thunderous, but Admiral June wasn't there to hear it. At that very moment, he stood on the bridge of the rebuilt Iron Will. Studying distress signal frequencies from the Outer Rim territories, its remaining 6 ships had been reinforced with volunteers from across human space, but Chin's focus remained unchanged. "Sir, we're receiving an invitation to the ceremony on Alteria Prime," Lieutenant Wu reported. "The Relarian government wants to present you with their highest honor." Jun didn't look up from his tactical display. "Send our regrets. We have patrol duties." Commander Na smiled from her station. She had learned to expect this response. The past 6 months, Jun had declined 17 different ceremonies, 32 medals, and 49 speaking engagements. The man who had become the galaxy's greatest hero refused to act like one. The real change wasn't in ceremony halls, but in the dark spaces between stars. Where once pirate fleets had roamed freely, now they checked their sensors nervously for the distinctive signatures of human ships. The mere possibility that the Guardian Squadron might be nearby had caused raiding activity to drop by 70%. On the bridge of a Carillion transport ship, Captain Zool received an emergency transmission. From his escort vessel, "Sir, we're detecting 3 human warships on long-range sensors. Instead of fear, Zul felt relief wash over him, signal them our gratitude for their presence. With the Guardian Squadron in this sector, we can sleep safely tonight. The transformation was complete. The same black-holed ships that had once terrified peaceful species now brought comfort to travelers and traders. Children across the galaxy drew pictures of human vessels protecting colony ships. Poets wrote songs about the battle where 12 ships had held off, 60-7. But the most important change happened in the quiet moments between crises. On worlds throughout civilized space, other species began to understand what it truly meant to be human. They weren't monsters from a death world. They were guardians forged by that death world into something the galaxy desperately needed. Dr. Yu, now serving aboard the medical ship Mercy's Hand, treated patients from 17 different species. Her reputation for saving alien lives had spread so far that parents named their children after her. But she still remembered the simple truth that drove every human in the fleet. "We don't protect people because they're human," she told her young medical students. "We protect them because they're people." Admiral Jun received his daily reports from across the galaxy. Crime rates down, pirate attacks at historic lows, peaceful species expanding their trade routes into previously dangerous sectors.
Out, the Guardian.
Squadron's mere existence had changed the balance of power between predators and prey. "Sir, incoming distress signal from the Vega system," Wu announced. Chen's response was immediate. "All ships prepare for emergency jump." The legend continued.